Legal perspective, Adrian Perez Salazar is an attorney and a columnist at El Universo newspaper. He joins us now from the Ecuadorian city, Guayaquil. Hi there, Adrian. It's good seeing you. So according to El Universo, the Mexican ambassador in charge called what happened, quote, an attack on international law and the inviolability of the Mexican embassy in Ecuador. He also described it as barbarism. Talk about the legality of the police raid and whether Mexico has any recourse.
I'm afraid that is correct. Even though Ecuador has in their view, there's some justifications for this. The truth is that international law is very clear. There is really no exception to the principle of the inviolability of an embassy. So even though the Ecuadorian government, in their view, were justified in doing such a thing because of the links between Jorge Glass and the charges that were brought against him and the convictions that were brought against him, the truth is that this does not justify breaking into an embassy. There is no justification under current law.
There's been quite a bit of a spat developing between the two countries that did not start overnight. The Ecuadorian Foreign Ministry had earlier said it will not grant any safe passage to former Vice President Glass, and that, quote, the granting of diplomatic asylum by Mexico is not legal. So should Mexico have granted asylum to Glass?
I mean, under international law, there is no obligation or prohibition on the part of a country. A country is allowed to give asylum to whoever they want. Now, the background of this whole conflict is Mr. Glass is ideologically aligned with López Obrador. So there is an ideological synergy, there's an ideological alliance going on there. And so even though Glass has been convicted under Ecuadorian law and has many criminal trials pending, he used this political connection to get asylum into the Mexican embassy. And that, for a lot of Ecuadorians, felt like a slap in the face. It felt like a mockery of justice. That being said, whatever grievances the Ecuadorian government might have had against the Mexican government for granting this asylum to Mr. Glass, there is no justification under current international law for breaching into an embassy, even though you believe that the person that is seeking refuge there is a convicted criminal, as it is in this case.
Quite often when someone is granted asylum by an embassy in a country, it is because they believe their life is in danger. In this case, does Glass believe his life is under threat from the current Ecuadorian administration, or is this just a tit-for-tat action and reaction between Ecuador and Mexico? Why was he granted asylum in the Mexican embassy?
Well, as I said before, Mr. Glass has been convicted on corruption charges. He was granted freedom under parole a few months ago. He violated those terms. He's also been summoned by the attorney, the general attorney, for his involvement, his linkages in other corruption scandals, in other corruption networks. So he is a wanted criminal. He has been convicted. So there is no question about that. The issue is that instead of facing justice, Mr. Glass used this connection, this ideological connection with Mr. López Obrador, and sought refuge in the Mexican embassy. And Mexico is perfectly legitimate for them to give asylum to whoever they want, even though in this case it was extremely questionable from an ethical perspective. That being said, I must stress it again, the fact that it was extremely questionable on the part of the Mexican government to grant asylum to Mr. Glass does not in any way justify the actions taken by the Ecuadorian government. And breaching into an embassy is something that is quite unprecedented in Latin America and international relations.
Fascinating. Adrian, appreciating you putting this into perspective for us and looking at this from both sides. That's Adrian Perez Salazar in Guayaquil, Ecuador. Thank you.
Thank you.